Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us on the Fall Field Foundations for 2026 with Crop Aid Nutrition. I am your host this morning, Dan Aberhart, and with me is the lovely and talented Nicole Dube.
Good morning.
She's going to be keeping us in line.
Always.
Yeah, and with us today to talk what happened in 2025, how to prepare for 2026, and how to fix your fields with our special guest star farmer who's on the line, which shall be revealed. We have Darren Fischer, the head agronomist from Crop Aid Nutrition. How are you doing there today, Darren?
I couldn't be better.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
No,
very
I'm good.
calm where you are. There's no wind sound or nothing in your mic. You're even though you're out at a farmyard, sunny, quiet, calm, beautiful day where you are. And then there's Kevin White, who, by virtue of his background, we can tell um, he's swimming in the bacillus this morning. Head microbiologist, I guess technically. Hey, Kevin from Crop.
Sure.
He'll
Yep.
take it. Take it. Okay, so we've got the agronomy and the microbiology covered. But the reason that we wanted to have a webinar here is we know it's getting late in the year, but there's always that window to get some field work done. And this year there is a season for Crop Aid Nutrition because we've got this fall Crop Aid SS product to deal with salinity. And you can put Crop Aid Plus on in the fall. We're going to talk about that. And we want to do a little bit of a recap about some of the successes that Kevin and Darren have seen in the field with some of these products, but technically the very first year that Crop Aid SS has been registered for use in salinity, and this is a huge deal. And I can't wait to talk to our farmer who's on the line, Jeff, about his problems he's having in the field. Because Thursday, I'm going to physically go out there and we're going to spray that thing and we're going to find out. So that's going to be great. So before we get started, though, Nicole, you've got a little bit of housekeeping here to keep us in line. Give us the deets on that. On that, please.
Thank you, Dan. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Kevin and Darren, for joining us. Before we dive in, as Dan said, some quick housekeeping here. If you're watching live on Zoom, drop your name, location, any questions you have in the chat. That should be open for you. Dan's just going to double check that. We love hearing from you guys. So let us know. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification so you never miss a future webinar with Crop Aid or Aberhart Egg. And if you want to learn more about Crop Aid, their full product lineup, or connect with any of the dealers in your area, check out their website, cropaidnutrition.com. Or you can reach out to us at Aberhart and we will share those links again and get you connected with the right people. And we will also have a short Q&A session after our speakers wrap up. So if you have any burning questions, stick around and we will answer them.
Yeah, and if you put your questions in the chat, I just open it up. I'm famous for not opening up the chat right away. It is open now, so you can give us the thumbs up or where you're from or what you want to hear most in this session. It's free speech in the chat. Free speech. We welcome free speech here. So let's just start off with this was the first year using Crop Aid SS as a registered product in Canada, and but you've been trialing it for 4 years and really confident in the results. And I got a chance to see some of this, and that's why I'm confident in telling Jeff, my buddy who's going to be on the call later here, how great it works and what we can do for his fields. But Darren, tell us a little bit about what you saw this year in the field and what it means to be able to use this product on our fields this fall for salinity.
Well, we actually heard more than we saw. I mean, unfortunately, Kevin and I can only get out to so many fields, but we did cover as many as we can this year. And you know, we can look at data all we want, but if we talk to the farmer themselves, they tell us, we're standing at a saline spot, and they're telling us, nothing grew for 20 years. My question is to them, have you seen every kind of season, drought and rain and everything? And they always said yes. And they have stuff growing. So, and I think it's almost 100%. I mean, every farmer that we did talk to have said they have seen improvements, whether it's been the first year, maybe nothing's growing and they have weeds. I mean, that's still plant matter and roots going into the ground. And I mean, there was always something positive And then we kind of circled around to some of the guys that have been using it for 3 or 4 years now. And I mean, it was early in the season. I'm not sure how the yield went, but I mean, the crops were looking really well. And I think everybody's happy with it. I mean, they understand it's a program. It's not just a product you put on. It is actually a program. Um, it's no, you just no silver bullet. You can't just throw it on and hey, it works. We got to go along with the other field and a little bit of understanding about how to manage. But I mean, guys, I just had a guy in a parking lot come up to me and said, he's heard that, the Crop 8 SS is really working well out there. So, I mean, I think that's 100% positive.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about the problems that you're trying to address and the differences between salinity and salinetic, sodic and salinetic soils and all that good stuff. What are we looking at? What are we trying to fix here?
So salinity is sodium salt, where we get to a sodic soil. That's sodium, so a little bit different. I mean, soluble salt we can leach out easily, and that's what our product does. We don't leach it right out. We leach it out of the soil profile, and I mean after I don't know 15 or 18 or 20 years. I don't know how long I've been in this soil health industry. We know that we can grow a crop in 4, 5, 6 inches of dirt because we see that compaction layer. So we're moving that salt out of the soil profile and out of the way. And this year we're going to be doing some soil testing just to find out how far we're pushing that salt. We want to know, and eventually over time, I think we can push it maybe 2, 3, 4 feet down. With the sodic soil, is a little bit different. Sodium is not leachable, so what we have to do is we have to attach it to a sulfate. So you can do that either with gypsum or with an elemental sulfur. So usually, I've been doing a little bit of research on this, and they say about 1 pound of elemental sulfur will leach out about 1 pound of sodium, which is a good thing. But we need to get that. Now we have sodium sulfate, and that can be leached out, but we need moisture and water and somewhere for that to go. So that's where, if you're using elemental sulfur, and then you put the SS on top. We make that sodium sulfate, and then with rain, the SS will wash that away. So that's a little bit different. We can still, I believe, work well on both, but with the sodic soils, it's just that one extra step. But I mean, if you use an elemental sulfur, I mean, you need that anyways. So it's there anyways.
That's such an interesting fact. Did you know that 1 pound of elemental sulfur can leach away, or what did you call that? It binds
It's one
away
to one. So about
one to
one
one.
pound, one
Hmm.
pound of elemental sulfur can
Yeah.
can can will bind to about 1 pound of sodium, and then that can be leached out. So we need the SS on top of it, the crop A plus in the rest of the field, and now we need rain, and it should move that down.
Well, I love that if we could somehow measure how many pounds of sodium was in the soil, it might actually lead to a little bit of a prescription. Because we told folks put on 4 or 5 times the rate of biosol on those bathtub rings, and but it's hard to know the complete picture. We had a question in the chat here. What does SS stand for, gentlemen?
Saline solution.
Super simple. Should be
Yes.
called SS, but probably SS was enough for
Well,
now.
I mean, we are a group of car guys too. I mean, we all like the old cars and hot rods. So
A smoke
S
show.
SS kind of fit and it was kind of cool. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
yeah.
Darren Sanders, a big Mercury guy.
Yeah.
Kevin, what have you seen in your travels this year with this Salinity product? Anything shocking and juicy that you can share?
Well, I've got two customers using it, one at Hafford and one at Dafo. And the one at Dafo in the northwest quarter or corner of that quarter, he said he was going to seed it to grass, nothing like nothing. And I got the pictures, and he's got a full blown pea crop there, full blown. And then at Hafford, there's a spot down by Redberry Lake where the producer a couple of years ago took out 9 half tons of kosher and burnt it, put on the SS. He had crop growing the next year.
Nice.
It's phenomenal.
Yep.
And he's got another spot down by Redberry Lake, a little slough. I've got pictures of that too. There's wheat growing there, full blown wheat crop. Now it's not going to go 60 bushels the acre, obviously, right away, right? Might never, but there is crop coming. So it's completely remediated those soils. Yeah.
That is huge.
So that was
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the economics a little bit when we bring Jeff on because I know my brother's looked at this a lot, all the math. It's crazy what a net drag Salinity is on margins. But Darren, can you explain how this is doing, what it's doing for some of the more technical people on the call? Like I know Andrew Clements, for example, he might have some questions or comments. But Andrew, we want to explain exactly how this does what it does physically because there's something going on behind the scenes here.
It's it's relatively simple, but I mean, uh, so I think most companies in the past thought of saline as a soil problem, whether it's compaction or whatever, and I mean we didn't. So we addressed this as a water issue, and so we can go back, and I've said this before, we can go back 50 years and look at textbooks, and we know salinity is caused by evaporation. We know that, so evaporation has to be water. So down somewhere in that soil profile, we have an impermeable layer, and water and salt can come up, and it just can't leach back or penetrate through that impermeable layer. So every time we have an evaporation event, whether we have hot or windy, or that's why we say don't work it, in July, it's just like a wick, right? So we're bringing that water and that salt up, and it evaporates off, and it leaves the salt behind. So that's one issue. Then we have all this molecular bonding going on in the soil. So we have, have water. It's one negative and two positives. Your soil, it's ground, right? So it's a negative, and we have all this bonding going on in the soil. So we have the hydrogen bonding with the clay, and that bond is pretty strong. We have this tight soil. So now all this water is trapped in between these soil particles. We call that bound water. So we not also have this bone water, we have hydrogen bonding, we have all this going on in the soil. And that's why it just does not release. And I mean, no matter what you do, it just does not release. And that's why usually we can go in there in July or August and that soil is still wet and it's sticky because it's just not releasing that water. So when we look at it as a water issue, what we did is we developed a product that basically what it does is it breaks that surface tension so that how I put it is this. I said, so if water has grips and it can crawl its way up, we take away those grips, and now it can't grip its way up. So now what we start doing is that water cannot not bond or stick to that negative clay, and every time we get a rain event, it kind of washes that salt out of the soil profile. Um, then we have another product in there. Basically, what it does, it helps dissolve any of those salts. So any of those hard salts, it dissolves into a form that now we can leach out as well. It's a lot more technical, but that is the very simple answer. So that's why we put it on in the fall time. It does work in the springtime, but it does work best in the fall. So we apply it. You can apply it anytime. I have a customer that's going to be going on at the end of October with Fierce, and he's going to spray it on then, and it will sit there. And then most cases we do get snow, and that snow will drive it in. And every time we get a rain event in the spring, it'll just go further and further. And that is it in a nutshell. Simple as that.
Yeah, every time I listen to that explanation, I hear a little bit more and understand a little bit more. There was a question here in the chat. Can you aerial apply the plus? Has anyone ever aerial applied the Crop Aid Plus?
You know something, I'm sure you can if it was just a plus. Being
Right.
that we're in low water volumes, uh, we don't have that much water. So once we start getting 2 or 3 gallons of water, and then we have to start subtracting for chemical and product. I mean, 250 mils. But if you were just going on with water and plus, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we backed up the truck and did like a simple explanation of Crop Aid Plus, which is the core product, which you guys have been working with for like it's been on the market for like 10 years. Nicole, how would you sum that product up?
I would say you're flushing your salts out. You're making more room for your water to come into your soil.
How's that, boys? Got a Crop Aid expert over here. So there's a difference between the Crop Aid Plus and the Crop Aid SS as far as the cropping systems go. And when I go out on Thursday with to hang out with my buddy Jeff there, we'll take a look at his fields here shortly. We're going to apply both separately. So where do they fit in? The Crop Aid Plus, what does that do versus the Crop Aid SS?
Well, what I'm going to do is I'll just speak briefly on the case. So the crop aid SS is a chemical product to get that water out of the soil. That's what the Crop Aid Plus is a biostimulant. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Kevin explain how the biostimulant works in the soil.
Perfect.
So the Crop A Plus, so it's got a ammonium lignin sulfonate in it. So that's just sheets of carbon atoms. When you look at it, it's molecular structure. So when you get all that carbon in the soil, it acts as a stimulant. So it stimulates the microbes and they start reproducing, right? And so when those microbes, when you finally get some seed in there, when those microbes start interacting with the roots of the plant will drip exudates into the soil to stimulate the microbiology to feed it nutrients that it's looking for, right? So putting it on in the fall, it's there for immediate use in the spring, right? So you get that stimulation.
And when we talk about, I mean, there's lots of different ways to put carbon into the soil and stimulate biology. What is the difference, Kevin, between using, say, we've heard lots about humic acids versus this ammonium lignin sulfonate? It's kind of a unique ingredient.
It's, as Darren has told me, he said it takes a lot of humic acid to get uh, an effect, right? So the ammonium lignin sulfonate just goes on to 250 mils an acre, and we're getting the reactions that we're looking for, right? Can you speak more to that, Darren? The humic acid?
Yeah, so I am not going to knock humic acid in any way, humic and
Nope.
fulvic acid anyway. They do have their place. Although uh, humic acid, I mean, sometimes if we go back, 30, 40, 50 years, we're still got humic acid, right? So we're still taking the same core product. We're using a product like, caustic soda or something like that to extract it. So humic acid is kind of still humic acid. I mean, we can do different stuff with it. Um, but it also goes on quality. So if you guys don't know, if you are looking at a humic product, there are labs. I'm just going to put out a name here. The only one I know is Future Analytics in Red Deer, and she will take that humic acid. And I'm really not sure exactly what she does. It was pretty complicated, but she goes on. She tests it so that it fails, whatever that is. You can talk to her about it, and she will tell you the quality of that humic acid. And some humic acids, like this is just what she says, and I mean she is a very smart lady. Uh, some humic acids are not worth anything, and some are very, very well.
Yep.
Although, I mean, I just look at some of the ads that I seen and that kind of stuff, and we're looking at, some people. I've just heard there was one on Facebook, where the gentleman, he said he put on over the course of 3 years, I believe it was 400 pounds of humic acid, like 400 pounds in 3 years of humic acid, and then he started to get the same results that we're getting in the course of over a winter or 1 year. And I mean, I don't know what that costs, but 400 pounds over 3 years is nowhere near, I think, what we charge. So humic acid, I think, and it's just my opinion on this, it definitely has its place um, as a chelator in the soil. I don't think it's a bad product, but I just, in my opinion, I may be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I just think humic acid just is good, but it just takes too long, and it's a lot of product to apply. Where we can go on with 1 liter and get the same results, start getting results in year one for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah,
So
there's.
at one of the
Go ahead, Kevin.
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, so the Sask Institute of Agrologists, every year I have to attend the AGM, and there was a prof from the University of Calgary that put on a webinar about humic acid, right? And she basically came to the same conclusion that it took a lot of product to see an effect.
Yeah.
Just echoing what Darren said there, right? So,
Well,
and
there's a
the
lot of different
quality,
forms of
and
human acid on the market, so you sort of have to know what you're dealing with and where the source is from. And
Yeah.
there's also Humulite,
Yeah.
which has good properties, but it can take a long time to become available.
yeah, and he said in the molecular structure of the humics, if you had more branch chains, like carboxylic acid or something coming off the carbons, the more effective it seemed to be. But the quality has to be there. Like, what are you getting out of the ground, right? Like ammonium lignin sulfonate is just ammonium lignin sulfonate. We're not worried about branch chains coming.
And so, can you explain
Carbons.
where
It
that's
just
from?
works.
Where is that from, Kevin? Where is that source?
Well, humic acid, humates are just carbon that's been in the soil for
No,
300
but the
million
ammonium
years, right? It's
lignin,
like,
the ammonium
oh, the
lignin
ammonium
sulfonate.
lignin sulfate.
Yeah.
So it's a byproduct of the pulp and paper industry.
So we have some questions here from Dean York. What is the impact on pH? Do these products affect pH at all?
Well, so if we use generally no, because I mean, in order to alter pH, you have to put in an acid, right? So if you're using a product, I'll throw you a pitch, Dan, Biosol. Yeah, I mean it's a good
Mm-hmm.
product,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean as the elemental sulfur, I mean as it goes into sulfur dioxide, then it goes into sulfur trioxide, then with moisture we get sulfuric acid. That will help reduce pH as well as now I know I've heard some guys that say, well, all these pitches of roots don't matter. Well, roots put out exudates and organic acids. So with it, when we can get product or plants growing or more population or a better root system, there's more organic acids going into the soil, and that will help reduce pH as well. But I mean, it is going to take a while, but I'll let Kevin explain this as well. The biology that cocoons around the roots that helps with the pH around that root zone as well, right, Kevin? I mean that the
Sure. So fungi will, in order to make nutrients more available in the soil, fungi will release enzymes and organic acids, and those organic acids will have an effect on the pH.
Would that be like a buffering effect when they talk about the buffering effect? Is that what we're talking about here, gentlemen?
yeah.
Well,
So
if the microorganism is having a buffering effect on the pH, like if it's high or low pH.
yeah, so when the bacteria make that cocoon around the roots. So when you pull a plant out and you shake all the dirt off, you'll see some of that black stuff on the roots. You take your fingers and you peel that off. That's all bacteria. So that is kind of given like a buffer zone around that root. So I mean, whatever the bacteria, and I mean, you've got millions of bacteria in the soil. Whatever they want that pH to be to want to work in, that's what they will put it. So we always say neutral, but it may not be neutral. If we're looking at a high pH of 8.2, 8.4, you know, that bacteria may have that around whatever they want, right? 7, 8, whatever. So they kind of alter that in that rhizosphere, just to give that plant the best. So in order to bring down pH, I mean, it's a combination of, you know, you can use elemental sulfur. I do like that product. I always have. Getting, you know, good healthy root system and good soil health. And it will in time. You're not going to go from an 8 to a 7, but I mean in the real worlds of nutrient release and that kind of stuff, going from like say a 7.8 to a 7.6, it does make a difference.
Absolutely, yeah. If you want to get into the nitty gritty of pH, we've got Greg Patterson coming up on Engine of the Soil, and he's talking about calcium and all that stuff there. And it is an interesting, complicated relationship. And a good place to start is your soil testing to see what's going on in the soil there. So we had a comment here from Jeff Bennett. Humic acid reduces the effect of chemtrails. Are you guys familiar with that? Is that
Maybe, I don't know.
Chemtrails?
we got a smart ass in the crowd today. Is that right on the shelf next to Bigfoot? Does that affect? Okay. Is there any peer-reviewed trials? Dean York is asking
On
your.
so
I'm assuming he's asking on your products. I don't.
so there is a paper out there done by 3 PhD professors on the ammonia lignosulfonate. Uh, and that was done. Ag Canada did that. So, and they did that out of the university. I think it was Ontario or Guelph or something like that. And you can find that online. Um, and as far as our product is concerned, I mean, we have done data, but no, we don't have peer-reviewed trials. But what we do have is we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of very happy customers that are making money. So we don't have that. And a lot of times too, uh, when we're looking at a product now, if we went and took out a specific product like the ammonium lignosulfonate, we can test that for certain things. But once we start looking at our product, we have ammonium lignosulfonate in there. We have some other stuff in there. Now we have a product. So when we start looking at what's doing it, right? And that's what I mean, years ago, this was 10 or 15 years ago, what they were trying to do is they were trying to look at compost and what in that compost was activating which bacteria. So if it was household compost, was it the corn or was it the carrots or was it the potatoes? What in that compost, because it's a mixture, right? And that's the same as our product. It's a mixture. So do we do a peer review paper on an individual product, which has been done? You can look up ammonium lignosulfonate, you can look at seaweed, and that's been studied to death. Uh, but once we combine that together, now we have a completely different animal, right? So
And some of the first research on ALS as such was done on potatoes, is my understanding as well. There's some white papers out there.
that's the one. So that's the one where, it's they did it. So we know what it does for soil bacteria and the fungi and disease in the ground, that kind of stuff. Uh, and also too, we've been looking at yield and this kind of stuff for years. Soil compaction, that kind of stuff. But we're going to take a little bit different swing here at Crop Aid. What we're going to do is we're going to start looking at the biological aspect of our company. We do have a biostimulant. So what we're going to do is we're going to be hooking up with a few different companies. Very, very good, very, very smart people, way smarter than I am. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to show which bacteria are we increasing, which ones are we decreasing, what are we doing in the soil, what bacteria are we promoting, all this kind of stuff that we talk about. We're going to start working towards that, and that's where Kevin's going to start. He's going to head that. Uh, so maybe in the next year or two, we can sit there and say, look, at our product does this in the soil. We are taking this bacteria and we're increasing it and everything else. So that's kind of what our focus is going to be on here for the next few years, is showing exactly what we're doing in the soil.
Yep. And Andrew Clements here from Mag Research is in the audience. And Andrew, if you have any comments or questions, please put them in there. I was wondering, Kevin and Darren, are you comfortable if I brought Bruce Dagg on the call? We had been down to see a customer of his, and I just wanted to have him share his experience. If you guys would allow me to allow him to talk, if you're comfortable.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to allow Bruce Dagg to, hopefully he's fit for YouTube. Are you fit
Well,
for YouTube today, Bruce?
yeah, I sure do. I sure am. I've got the face for radio.
You're looking good. You're looking good. Actually, we can't see your video, but
Okay, that's perfect.
you and I traveled south of Moose Jaw the other day to see one of your customers there, Kevin Ross, and he was basically ecstatic about taking 800 acres of kochia in a big shoehorn there and turning it into what hopefully ran 80 bushels for wheat, he was figuring.
Yeah, I haven't touched base with him in the last 3 or 4 days to see how he made out with his harvest. It was a little later crop because of the kochia issue he had. So when we had stopped out there, Sean Williams and I had stopped out there and had a look at what was going on in some of his fields there. He had tried some of the Crop Aid Plus on some other ground, and we did some shovel tests and whatnot with that. And he was pretty happy with what he's seen, how soft the soil was and how the water was able to migrate into the soil a lot better, and the root systems were starting to develop. Then he took us over to see this kochia issue that he had, and that was a suggestion of ours, is to after you get some of that vegetation rolled back into the ground, to hit it with some Crop Aid Plus a couple of times, once with his burn off and then once with his in crop, and the results were pretty nice. You were out there and you've seen that, from what he was dealing with first and what he's got there now. There's a lot that goes along with that. We had some moisture, which has helped a lot. He's probably got a ton of nutrients still in the soil from lack of use. But the crops were able to compete against that kochia weed, and the crops took over. So it was really nice to see.
Yeah, it was very visual. It was night and day, and Kevin was really happy that he could finally do something, because he was talking about how people are burning it, baling it, cultivating it, every tool known to mankind to try and rid ourselves of the scourge of kochia. But you really have to treat the underlying issues. You can't just treat the symptoms. You got to go to the heart of what's causing that, which kochia likes those salty soils that we've got as a result of what Darren was talking about.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that the issue was, and he knows he's got a salt issue in all of that ground. So as a result, we are going to treat those 800 acres with some SS this fall. Some of the heavier areas, we're going to put the recommended rate on at a liter an acre, and then the rest of it, he's going to go with half a liter an acre of SS. So it won't cost him as much as he initially thought it would be.
Well, for those of you out there who do have salt issues, we encourage you to come forward and admit it. That's the first step, is admitting, my name is Dan, and I have a salt issue. And that way you can get treatment for the salt issue. But you guys are going to do some more work with the Crop Aid SS with Kevin down there, and continue with the Crop Aid Plus program.
Yes, we're gonna set up some soil sampling, and this is something I got to run through Darren Fischer there to make sure that we get this done properly. Should be done real soon, just to do a before and after, and just even see what kind of an issue he has down there.
Love it. Okay, well, thanks for coming on, Bruce. I'm going to disable talking now if you unless you have anything else to add.
Oh no, that's good. Thank you very much.
No, I appreciate you, Bruce. That's what we're talking about, folks. It's fun to see the results out in the field. Wayne Black is asking, is there a different rate applied based on the salt levels? And I know we have some soil tests here from Jeff we're going to take a look at very shortly here. But what is the rate, or what's the recommended rate, guys?
Well, it's just kind of that experience I have throughout the years, and kind of what we say is, and also the cost wise. So if it's not growing at all, or if it's growing kochia, um, we ask for about a liter, because we know that the salts are higher. We just know that. We don't need a test for that. We know. Um, and if we have stunted growth, it's just maybe, the yield is down, that kind of stuff. Then what we can do is we can go on at half a liter. So we do have guys. I have a gentleman who be spraying here this week, and what he's doing is he's just going to go over the whole field with half a liter, and then he's going to make a second application on the bad spots. It's easy as that. Uh, so we don't really go by a test. We just kind of go by a visual, and I think it's easy as that. And the only reason we don't go on a liter is because some of these fields, like Bruce said, he's got a guy who's going at 800 acres. Well, it doesn't need a liter because it's still growing. I mean, it is suffering a little bit, and the cost of 800 acres would just be a lot of money, and it just would. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go on half liter, and then that 800 is going to get Crop Aid Plus as well, and the SS. So
Mhm.
it's going to get both anyways. But this is, yeah, like I say, if it's not growing at all, if you've got no crop in there, if it's grown as kochia, then that's when you want a liter.
Well, Jeff's going to get a leader. I was just going to say, I want to put a leader on Jeff's here. We're going to go with Jeff. We're going to go hardcore. We're not going to fool around. But okay. So, but one last question before we talk to Jeff here. Kevin, did you have a comment? Did I miss you? I
I was
don't know.
going to say, so Darren, could you speak to how many years they'll have to use the SS? Because that was a question that came up, and Darren and I had a little meeting in a shop in Cudworth on Friday. Guys are always asking, well, how long am I going to have to do this to get that
Yeah. Great question.
soil into?
Yeah.
So one one issue we have is water table and evaporation, right? And those rates do fluctuate all the time. So we don't have no guideline of you got to use it for 2 years and then you switch. What I tell everybody is that I think when you have some crop growing back, and if we can get 40 or 50% of your yield of your other field yield back, that's when you could likely switch to half a liter. Or you can go right down to the plus, because now if we have plants on top, we have root mass, and we have vegetation, and that's going to help stop evaporation as well, right? Because plants obviously uh, they take up water, and they kind of uh, I forget with the water in the soil, right? They're going up and down. They will help with that. So I just tell guys, like, once you get crop growing and you're like 40 to 50% yield of everything else, then you could switch back. So we just kind of let it. I mean, I know it's not a scientific answer, but we're dealing with some years, if it's hot and windy, we're going to have increased evaporation. Well, you might have to use it at a higher rate next year. or if we have a cooler spring and lots of rain, well, you might have to use it less. So that's the base I go by. Just go by this the spot and see how it grows.
The famous agronomy answer of it depends. It depends. It depends. I think
But
this is going
see,
to be a great country song.
and then, but the whole thing is too. I mean, we're only treating the saline spots. It would be
Yeah.
different if we were going out. We're spending $18 or whatever on the whole field. I mean, that's expensive, and we want to really narrow this down. But when we're only looking at saline areas, I mean, that's a pretty easy visual. And like I say, most guys, if it's 10, 20, 30 acres, it's not huge money, right, to fix these spots. So we have a little bit of leeway of error here.
I love it. I love it. Well, this is the moment, Nicole, that everybody's been waiting for. We're going to shift gear. We're going to pop the clutch, shift gears. Everybody's been waiting to hear from this star farmer. We're going to get a little bit of a consultation because I'm coming out there to Dodsland, Saskatchewan, to my good buddy Jeff Bennett's farm. We're going to reunite his friends, and we're going to spot spray the bejesus out of some of these bad parts of his field he's got. Jeff, we can't see your video, but I don't know if that's the way that you wanted to show up for us today. I know maybe
No, I'm getting older. I need to figure this out. Hang on.
you have a salt problem, but maybe it's hard to come on camera with admitting you have this
Pretty embarrassed by it. Pretty embarrassed by it.
You're that many years old where you're trying to hit the video thing.
I'm almost 40, Daniel.
I know. But
how do I do this?
do you have a video function there somewhere?
I sure
on
do.
What device are you on? Can you
It's an
select?
iPad. It's my child's iPad.
Okay, you should be able to just select your video and come on. But if you can't, that's fine.
Seeing it.
Okay. Well, what I wanted to do, Jeff, was tell us why you wanted to have me out there to address some of these issues that you have with your field. And I'll put up a picture here. I'm going to share a picture of your field here. What is
besides rekindling our friendship, Dan?
Right, well, I know that's a big part of it, and I'm there to get your money. But
yeah, I know. I've already applied my biosol for the year, so I'm quite used to sending money your way.
Thanks for the business.
So this is a half that has been the bane of my father's existence for his entire farming career. If you look in the very southeast corner, that is where my old house was. That's where my father lives now. So he is now looking out over top of his worst field, but best field on the farm. If you look just north of that farm site, you'll see the purple, dark blue, light blue patch. No, move your cursor to the right there.
Right there.
So it always grows and then it always dies. It's bad salt. You can see where the water runs in this field. It runs it runs actually the other way, but along, exactly. There's right below your cursor to go a little bit further right. Nope. Up there. That is a grass patch that is seeded to grass because of salt.
Yep.
So, and you can see on the other side of the field, more grass patches that are seeded to grass because of salt. This is probably one of the best fields on the farm if it wasn't for salt. So anything that's purple, anything that's blue, anything that's light blue is salt. The patch that is purple just to the left of where Dan's cursor is full on kosher right now. I sent a picture of this part of the field to Dan while I was combining it, and it's just kosher. There's nothing else there. You might get, like, we variable rate, so we drop our salts, we drop our fertilizer out of these areas. You're lucky if it's a drier year or a wetter year, you might get something growing there, but more than not, it doesn't grow anything. And then what I'm hopeful for is that we can get something growing in these areas that are just to the left and down from the cursor there. But there's a small part of me that wants to really break my father's heart and rip up the grass that he started, that he got going on these other patches, and put it back into crop. There's a half, well, it's a quarter, I guess, but on the exact other side of the yard or other side of the road there's another part of the field or another part of the farm that's been seeded to grass because of salt. Yeah,
Over here?
right over there. It's all part of the same waterway. And it's good land. Like I had the highest yielding canola that I've ever grown on the farm on that quarter just to the right of the road. So it's good land. It just has a salt problem.
Can you explain for folks that might not be aware what these colors mean on this EC map as you understand them?
Purple would be heavy salt. Blue would be slightly less. Light blue would be slightly less than that. It's all sort of based on Mike Palmier's MNP Ag Intellect maps. And before that, they were swap maps from Crop Pro. So there's been a few different, and before that, I mean, this wouldn't be describing the colors, but before that, they would be Farmer's Edge maps. This is always the first field that I ever give anybody with any product or any magic bullet that they've got. It's like if you can fix this, you can fix anything. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Well, and what's your comfort level at this stage on a scale of 1 to 10 with what we've been talking about here and between you and I, essentially as men?
I really want before my father either goes completely not saline, but
senile.
senile. I would like to prove that there are ways to reduce things that have been bothering farmers of his age, his generation, wrong. So as much as I would like to have the 20 acres that are heavy salt in this field, as much as I'd like to have the 15 acres that are slightly less salt in this field back, and I would like to take the grass patches out that are only seeded because of salt.
Absolutely.
Put them back into grass, and that's not a next year goal, but I think that it's definitely a field that warrants some attention. And yeah, I mean, I'm more than willing to try something.
So how I would address that field is that those grass areas, if you work those up, what it is that grass is help keeping that salt at bay.
Yes,
So we have the roots. So if you break that up, it's like taking the cork off the bottle. And we've seen this before. What I would be doing is I would be spraying those grass areas with SS
yeah,
first, so that can work through and help getting those salts down before you break it up. And then
Ab-
the salts would be, you know, out of that root zone, so that when you do break it up, I mean the salts are already down and they're having a hard time coming back up, and then you should have a better chance at putting a crop in there.
exactly. I'm not going to do anything
Yeah.
drastic without knowing the answer first.
We saw that this year. We went to that client that had tore up that pasture, and then they had seeded canola after seeing results with the Crop 8 SS. I think they got a little bit over optimistic. And then it was hot and dry, so there's a lot of evaporation and really nothing growed in a lot of those areas that you wondered, what was going on there. But it was not letting the system work. And you always talk about this as a system that we want to use with both the Crop 8 SS and the Crop 8 Plus, and then we want to be careful not to add more high salt index fertility to those spots when we're remediating and that sort of thing.
That's right. That one guy, he did have it was a hay field, and there was cattails all around and sloughs, and that's what he said. He worked it 2 or 3 times, and it's actually on the video we have, and he worked it, and there was one spot you can see where it's kind of a water run where nothing grew. However, what we didn't get back to see that, but in about a month and a half, it all grew. It all grew. So it just took some more rain and a little bit of time, but I do have a picture, and it did grow. But that's what he did. He just had the grass, and he just said he worked it 2 3 times, and then all of a sudden it just the salt came up, high evaporation. So that's just my recommendation would be on those grass. Get it treated. Maybe do the small one first, but get it treated first with SS before you even touch it. So, and that would help out greatly.
So I'm really excited about coming out, Jeff, and I'm going to come out from Saskatoon, and we'll have these jugs. And so my thinking, my current plan is, what did you say? You had 30 acres worth of very saline spots on that field. Is that fair? 30?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah. And then 20 acres of moderately saline, and we have, I think somewhere in here I have the oops, that's all gone now. I also have the some of the soil test results and all that stuff with the salinity levels, but we would spray in a targeted fashion the incredibly saline areas with 1 liter of Crop 8 SS, and then we would spray the entire field of consequence. I guess we want to leave a little bit of a check strip so we can see what the difference is between the soil, like all the crop check things that you look for when you go out there. But yeah, we want to spray most of the field with Crop 8 Plus as well. And why is that, Darren, that we want to use it together?
Because the one, even though earlier I said compaction is not the issue, but it does contribute to it. So when we have low biology in the soil, and Kevin can talk about this, I mean, you can even Google it or chat GPT it. Once we start having low biology in the soil, then we start having problems with nutrient efficiency. We start getting more compaction and such, and that's what we're seeing. So when we have a rainfall, a very heavy rainfall, so we get an inch of rain on 1 acre, that's about 27,100 gallons per acre. If you want to go to that to pounds, that's over 212,000 pounds of water sitting on that acre. Well, with now we get these really hard and heavy rains, where does it go? It doesn't have time to soak in, and Bruce had mentioned that before, this water infiltration. It can't soak in. So if it's on a high spot, it's going to go run to a low spot, and usually your saline areas are the low spot. Not every instances, but usually it is. So that's why we need that rest of the field to be able to soak in that water and keep that fertilizer and salts where they are. Because if we have a compaction problem, we keep just every time we get a rainfall, it's heavy rain, just keep loading that with salt. We're never going to fix the problem. So it's not about just putting on extra product. It's actually it's a field problem. So we put the SS on the bad spot, and the rest of the field gets the Crop 8 Plus to help just take some pressure off that spot. Because and then also too, with we have all this rain, we have all this water, and all this weight of the water, it is going to flow to the path of least resistance. So if we open up that saline area and let it all drain, and it's like pulling the plug out of a bathtub, right? All the water in the bathtub goes to that drain, and that's what we're going to do. And I mean, it's not anything about extra product, it's just that's how it works. Um, and by doing the two products on the field, and that's how I believe, and I 100% believe it. That's how we're fixing these saline areas for guys, because it's a field approach.
So I have
What do you
another
think of that?
question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So we're a very heavy clay, like our soil's classified as a Regina Scepter heavy clay, and it has a major compaction issue because we've had a lot of dry years lately, so we haven't had the wet cycle to mix that soil up. So I can see combine tracks, I can see seeding tracks from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago in some cases. So the plus product is what would sort of be the recommendation for that, and that's what. Sorry. So what kind of reasoning would is it because the soil's compacted? There's no air, there's no water, there's no microbial activity, so there's no crop growing on those tracts, or is it more of a like so can a microbial product remediate those specific areas, or what's your opinion on the compaction side of things?
That's kind of what we do. Uh, I'll let Kevin speak after this, but I mean, that's what we do. So uh, we can go look at all these other biologists, and I know Kevin is one, and he's a great one. But we've also have guys in the industry who spent their life working with mycorrhizal fungi and this kind of stuff, and they will tell you that it's your mycorrhizal fungi that helps take away compaction. And the way they do it is they take those clay particles that are in compacted layers, and they start pulling those off, and they start gluing them together to make these soil particles, right? They do that with glumal, and so that's one of these processes with our product. We need to get this fungi active in your soil. We need to get this biology in your soil, because as these mycorrhiza fungi is making these soil particles from your compacted, the bacteria is trying to rip that apart. So you have this interaction in the soil where it's just like a war down there. And I mean, and that's how we keep it open. So, and we also know through science, and we didn't do it, but I mean, the fertilizer we use, I mean, there's a lot of salts, and I mean, it hurts the bacteria, and high amounts of phos. We know that.
Well,
Unfortunately, it hurts mycorrhiza fungi. I mean, all the science is there, and the chemicals we use, but that's farming, and we're going to use it, and we're going to continue to use it. Uh, but
well, and canola doesn't associate with mycorrhiza either, so you're missing a whole year of growth.
Well, actually, there actually is a mycorrhiza fungi. There is now that will
Ooh,
attach to canola.
nice.
It's been out for, I think, in Lethbridge or Swift Current, they came up with it, and it will. But yeah, you're absolutely right. So now, then there was a study out of California that said anything over 16 parts per million phosphorus in your soil, which is 32 pounds of phosphate. Uh, any extra phosphate you put down on the ground starts backing off your mycorrhiza. So if your mycorrhiza is a heavy supplier of phosphorus, the more phos we add in, the more they back off. So now all of a sudden now we have low levels, and it's just it's farming, right? I mean that's how we're going to farm, and we're not going to quit. So, and we're doing the best we can, but we're missing that biological aspect of it to help loosen these soils. And that's why, I mean, the hardest soil is that Red River Valley. It's not only high clay, it's high calcium, but it's very high magnesium. I mean, it is so tough. If you grab that soil, your hands stay black. Like you can't get that stuff off your hands. That magnesium sticks, and we're working down there. So that biological aspect, and again, Kevin can add in whatever he wants. That compaction is machinery and the way we farm, but biology can definitely reverse that. So
Kevin, do you have anything to add to that? I mean, I think it's fascinating. I never realized that before I started working with crop aid, I never realized biology would address compaction.
Well, that's what mycorrhizal fungi are famous for breaking up compaction. They do that with enzymes and organic acids, right? That's part of the way soil is created, right? So that's what they're famous for. They'll break up, they can break up rock, but they use enzyme and acids to do it, right? So, and you can find that online. If you go to YouTube and you can just YouTube Soil Food Web School, is that what it's called? They go through all of that. Dr. Elaine Ingram
yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you go watch those videos,
yeah, she's just retiring.
Yeah, she's got it. Yeah, she just retired. Yeah. So she's got a PhD in microbiology, right? But that's what mycorrhizal fungi are famous for, breaking up that compaction.
So wait a minute. Jeff's talking about getting the whole field or the whole farm aerial applied here. But I kind of want to slow down the bus too. And we had a question from Kevin Judd about dribble banding the SS on the grassy patches to get to the soil. But we want coverage, don't we? We want coverage.
Yeah, so the product does not move horizontally. Like some will like spread out. This product will not spread out horizontally. It's strictly vertical. So if you're dribble banding, it's going to go straight down, and in between the dribble bands, you're going to have nothing. So then you have space for evaporation. So it has to be evenly covered. So that's why we tell guys, I mean, if you're going, I mean, some guys, I mean, we're going to harrow and we're going to work the field. And I mean, I can't change that, but let's do that late in the fall and then spray afterwards, because we want that nice, even coverage.
But Jeff, we're getting way ahead of the curve here with one application of Crop Aid Plus this fall. It's only a quarter liter per acre, right? And next spring you can put that another quarter liter in with your Roundup. Yeah, we're talking about the Plus now, not the SS, because you're talking about getting a plane to do the whole farm. But every time you go across the field for burn off or post seeding or whatever, you can do a pass with the Crop Aid Plus. It tank mixes. I know we were talking earlier, and you said you don't ever plan to do a jar test in your career, but it is best practice to do a jar test. But
It's just a small goal of mine.
You're
I don't ever
you're doing
do a
great.
jar
I'm
test.
proud of you. I think you're going to make it. But I understand. Yeah, you don't want to fool around with jar tests. But I think this has become a hallmark of the company is that they can tank mix all this stuff because you can only imagine what everybody puts into their tank in a given year. But you don't have to spray this in a plane. Is my point. You can just put this in the sprayer as you go. It's only a quarter liter. Get you some totes. And your dad would be smiling. Like I want to see the smile on your dad's face.
Well, that'll be two of us, I guess.
Two smiling Bennetts. So
And I'll add the one thing about the jar test. It's a lot of times it's not the chemicals that have an issue. It's the water. So when we're
that's
looking
right.
at high TDS, over 250 and over 500 in bicarbonates and it's all this pH and it's the biggest volume in the tank. That's what can cause issues is that water. So some guys have got away with it in the past, and some guys are having issues, not only with our product, but just in product in general. It was only a couple of years ago. I don't even know what chemical company it was, and they pulled all their chemical. They recalled it all because of a mixing issue, and it was the guys seemed to have good water, had no problem. The guy had bad water, they had issues. So the jar test is more just to make sure that water. I mean, if it's high in sodium, it can affect your antifoams and your glyphosates and everything else. So more the jar test is for just to make sure the water is good. So
Does that change your life goal, Jeff?
No, not at all.
No
Just
impact
kidding.
whatsoever. Did you know that, Jeff?
The water affects it.
The jar test is more for water than seeing if the chemicals mix.
I didn't even think about that.
That's why you're so glad to come on this webinar and so glad to know me. And now you're getting to know the crop aid guys and Nicole, and we're all learning together.
We have the same headphones.
Oh, really? You have the pink ones?
Yeah.
They are cute. Yeah.
Wow. Referral program here with the pink headphones. Okay, each to their own. I think we're really, really going really well here so far. But sadly, it must come to an end. I think we covered a lot of good. Oh, he's drinking a little bit of Crop Aid SS, folks. Show us the bottle there. If you are feeling salty, if you get a little bit of salty, hold it in front of you. Hold in front of your face. If you are feeling a little bit of salty in your biome, in your gut biome, if it's choking out your gut, you can release it with Crop Aid SS, a little probiotic. I'm really curious what people on the call think. Are you convinced? Are you skeptical? You want to see it work yourself? Kevin, I think there's still time to get some on. I know we're going to do some at the farm just before the sprayers getting winterized here. There's still a little bit of time. We might get some nice weather. Wayne Black from A&L Lab says interesting product. And I know soil testing is something that you're using, guys, to monitor the salinity levels afterwards.
yeah, so we're going to be doing more work with that. We're going to be doing some soil testing. I do think we're going to be talking to A&L, and I'm positive that from what I hear that they can work with us and help us out a lot. And then I think Kevin is going to be working with a company in the US on the more on the biology part of it. And I think everybody can work together. So yeah, we're going down a little bit different path. Yield is always great, but it also is nice for a company to explain exactly how their product works, right? So
Okay, but Jeff, we were talking about the economics on this, and it is wild. I mean, even if you got back to 50% production, what would that mean for what's going to be under the Christmas tree this year?
Yeah, so I mean, it's always interesting to think about gaining back acres that are zero, like the grass patches that I was talking about. But I think where the dollars and cents, where Dan starts salivating and that really make the wheels turn, is two places. One would be owned land where you're taking like this half that's been in the family forever. You're taking 20, 30, 50 acres that essentially draw. I mean, like we use variable rates, so we're not putting as much we're not putting as much nitrogen or salts into the soil. But in the rented land, like you probably are paying for those acres that don't don't produce anything. So you're sort of taking that, your fixed costs where we're sitting anywhere, $250, $300 an acre with all in kind of a thing, maybe less, maybe more, maybe someone's a better farmer than me, very possible. And then those variable costs, canola, you're, 250 bucks an acre that you're pouring into absolutely nothing. I farm around a lot of oil leases. I've had the fight with them about, if you're not going to clean up your shit, I'm just going to farm around it. It's rented, so everybody can calm down a little bit. But it's those kind of areas that are just really difficult to stomach, because you're putting as much money in, you're putting 200, you're putting, total 400, 500 bucks an acre. You're losing money on it every single year. If you can make it produce even anything, so that, for me, talking about this one field, I'm not going to change my variable rate. I'm not going to change, we variable rate seed it, potentially put some more seed in there, try and get something growing. If those acres aren't zero, and maybe not even zero, but they're not growing kochia, right? We're not growing kochia every single year and having the trails in the spring go across the farm. And I think that's huge, because not only do we have, it's just layer upon layer of interesting things that get me thinking a little bit more.
Wow. Sounds like you got some hope for the future, man.
Well, come on.
You're good.
I've had one good year in 5, Dan. Let's calm down a little bit.
That's actually business. Okay. Like, that's business. But I would think you're a good farmer. I think you take care and you work hard, and
Can't make it rain though.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. And so I think that's going to bring it to the end, unless there's anything else that I missed. There was some comments here. Wayne Black said collaboration is needed for agriculture to move forward, and I'd encourage everybody with an agronomic bent to join our mastermind with A&L. It's been really mind-blowing, and some of this stuff is actually like seeping into my thick noggin about agronomy. Not that I'll ever be a professional, but Kurt Schmann said, nice to hear it can be applied on established legumes and grasses as well. So that would be a complementary thing. If you already got deep-rooted cropping on there to reduce salinity, you're already leapfrogging. Okay.
Well, that's right. And for Wayne's comment, it is. We all have to work together. I think in the past, all this data and all this satellite imagery and all that kind of stuff, and the machines, you could all see it, but biology you can't see. It's invisible, right? But yeah, that shapes everything that happens in the soil. So it's working with companies like A&L and all these other companies to work together in the soil with the biology and make sense of all this and how it can help farmers. Because without soil biology, you ain't growing nothing, and then that's just a simple fact. And the more that soil can thrive with biology, the better everybody will do.
Yeah. Andrew had a really great question here. What is the difference, or are there any live microbes in the Crop A Plus, or is it more of a food source for existing biology? This is a key point.
Kevin?
No live microbes. It's a stimulant. The carbon in the plus acts as a stimulant to get the microbiology going.
It's like an exudate, and that's why you can spray it in the fall, right?
Well, no, I explained. So I was talking to a customer at Davidson. I said, it's like if you're going shark fishing and you want to attract sharks to the boat, what are you going to do? You're going to chum the water, right? It's that kind of analogy, right? So the sharks are going to react to the blood, right? Same thing. You're just chumming the soil with the Crop A Plus to bring the microbiology out of dormancy and start interacting with the roots, with the plants, right? And then the plants are going to start dripping exudates into the soil to feed the microbiology. And based on the exudates that it's dripping into the soil, the microbiology is going to feed the plants what they're looking for. So it's a stimulant.
And then also too, I can't say this with every company. There's so much technology going on, advancements every single day. But in the past, some of these biologicals would work with one farmer and they wouldn't work with another because they were being applied at different times and different conditions and that kind of stuff. Some of the biologicals now, I mean, they have a shelf life and you can't freeze them and everything else. And this year in the Western producer, they were saying some of these not them all. There were some really good ones on the market. Some of them are only half life when you get them because they were stored wrong. So there is challenges, and I know there's companies out there that have biologicals that are really stable in all kinds of conditions and that kind of stuff, and advancements are coming on really strong. But we don't have any in ours, so we can take our product and use it no matter where, all across Canada, US. We ship some over to the UK, West Africa, and it works everywhere because it's just a stimulant for the native biology you have in your soil. If we're taking a biology or bacteria or something from Canada and we're shipping it to West Africa, the chance of it making there and living it once we apply in the soil are, I would say, slim to none. So this way it works anywhere and everywhere.
Different keystone bacterias in different parts of the world. And you're right, there's all kinds of complications with live bacteria, but that's Elaine Ingram talked a lot about that, making the compost tea with your native biology was a huge component, because we don't think of it, but there's a wild ecosystem just like the jungle. It's just on a different scale.
Yep.
When I talk to guys now, that quarter section is an ecosystem. And the base of every ecosystem on the planet is the microbiology. And it's the microbiology that makes all the nutrients, recycles all the nutrients and makes them plant available in that ecosystem, right?
Word.
The microbiology is the base of everything.
Love it. Well, I think it's time to wrap it up. Jeff, are you ready to go shark farming? Are you ready to chum it up? Chum the soil.
Let's chum the water.
Chum the water. Any final comments, Jeff? Are you excited?
I'm excited twofold. One, to see Daniel Aberhart in person again, and the other one to make my dad happy.
Aw.
Get that South half of 9 back in the game.
Is he going to be hanging out the half-ton window watching?
I hope he's not
watching
there.
his son?
I don't want to explain what I'm doing.
Oh, really? What if he watches YouTube and he hears?
I'd have to turn his iPad on for him.
Andrew's asking, have you seen any efficiencies when adding to chemicals? Does it make chemical work better?
Well, okay. So that's why we say just mix it with water for now, because we got to build this database. And also, like I said before, water's your biggest component. So for now, we've been out there with Fierce. We've done great. We've been out with Roundup, or I mean glyphosate, and we've done good. We've done some testing with a company, a trial company. We went on with some heavy rates in with chemical just to see what it would do. My personal opinion, if we are breaking that surface tension, it's a surfactant. So what we should do is we should get those droplets spreading better across the surface leaf, or the leaf surface. So I think it would make your chemicals work a little bit better, in my opinion. No way would you, go and cut chemical and that kind of stuff, but it should just make your chemical work a bit better, in my opinion.
Cool. Well, it's great to see you asking some questions and sticking around, Andrew. I know you're a busy agronomist, and I appreciate you taking your time. And everybody else on the call, look, I know how busy everybody is and how precious everybody's time is. So I hope that you found extreme value. And I'm really excited about addressing this issue. I remember years and years ago, my brother, when we were farming 11,000 acres, was saying, well, 2,000 of these acres are actually a net drag on our margin, and a big net drag on our margin. And so we're starting with 500 liters of crop aid this fall, and making farming better, make farming great again. Nicole, do you have any takeaways and housekeeping for the crew?
I think the biggest takeaway is it just makes sense. Like, it just makes sense.
Okay, whoa, is that SENCE or is that
Double S.
oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense, and it makes sense. So thanks everybody for coming on the call. Thank you, Darren Fischer. And thank you, Kevin White. This is your first webinar with us. How did you like it on a scale of 1 to 10, Kevin?
I don't know, but an 8. I definitely feel more comfortable now at the end of it.
You did great, and we need more talk about biology. So appreciate the work that you did and the big words that you used, and we'll learn over time. Keep explaining it, and we'll pick it up. Jeff, any final thoughts from you?
No, it was nice to hear some people besides Dan promise me the world.
There's one thing that's consistent is me promising the world, but this time I'm going to deliver. So,
well, yep, let's do it.
Well, Jeff, we'll see you Thursday. Darren and Kevin will see you soon on the rodeo track. Nicole, I'm seeing you right now. Thanks to everyone on the call. Have a great, I guess, rest of the fall work. It's not going to be long here before it snows and Halloween and put everything away and lick our wounds. But a little bit more fall work to do with Crop Aid Nutrition before we're done. So thanks to everybody for attending. And if you're watching the recording, please like and subscribe. And we'll see you in the funny pages, folks. Thank you. Bye for now.